You know what's truly strange about the human mind? Some of the most perceptive, emotionally intelligent, and deeply intuitive people you will ever meet in your entire life didn't develop those extraordinary abilities through reading textbooks, sitting in elite classrooms, or even through years of intentional meditation. Instead, they developed them because at some critical point in their lives, they simply had to. Their nervous systems were trained, not by choice, but by circumstances. These were environments that required them to constantly read the room, predict the volatile moods of others, and think several strategic steps ahead just to maintain a basic sense of safety. Psychologists have recently started calling this phenomenon traumatic intelligence. And if you've never heard of this term before, that is exactly why this video matters so much. We are going to deconstruct how your past struggles didn't just wound you, they literally upgraded your brain's processing power. The psychological premise: trauma as a sharpener. Here is the core psychological premise that we must understand. Trauma does not only leave wounds. In many remarkable cases, it sharpens the individual. Research in developmental psychology suggests that children who grow up in unpredictable, chaotic, or emotionally complex environments often develop a heightened sensitivity that is far beyond the norm. They become experts at detecting social cues, emotional patterns, and subtle nonverbal communication. Their brains, specifically the amygdala, which processes fear and emotion, and the prefrontal cortex, which handles complex thinking, are wired early on to detect microsignals that most people completely miss. The result is a form of intelligence that looks almost invisible from the outside, but runs incredibly deep on the inside. It is a survival-based cognitive adaptation. Let's explore the 8 definitive signs that you possess this traumatic intelligence. Sign 1. Reading the room. Before a word is spoken, the first sign is that you can read the vibe of a room before anyone even opens their mouth. You walk into a physical space, and something immediately shifts inside you. It's a quiet, internal alertness. You pick up on the microscopic tension in someone's shoulders, the way two people are avoiding eye contact, or a micro-expression that flickers across a face for less than a second. This isn't intuition, in some mystical or magical sense. It is high-level pattern recognition. Your brain was trained from a very early age to scan your environment for emotional data. At some point in your history, that constant scanning was the only thing that kept you safe. Your mind learned that information is protection, and now you see the truth long before the lies are even told. Sign 2. Hyper-attunement to others' needs. The second sign is that you are deeply, almost painfully attuned to other people's needs, sometimes, even before they realize those needs themselves. You notice when a friend is struggling even when they are wearing a perfect mask and saying they are fine. You sense the subtle shift in someone's energy before they've even had a chance to process their own feelings. Psychologists refer to this as hyper-empathy. It often develops in people who grew up needing to track the emotional states of caregivers or family members very closely. You learned to feel others because your environment required you to know exactly what was happening in the hearts of those around you to avoid conflict or danger. You became an emotional radar. Sign 3. Exceptional. Problem-solving under pressure. The third sign is your ability to stay calm and strategic when everything is falling apart. While others are panicking, freezing, or screaming, something inside you goes quiet, cold, and calculated. You don't freeze, you adapt. This is a fascinating neurological response called stress inoculation, because high-stakes situations were your normal growing up. Your brain is now better calibrated to manage chaos. What others see as overwhelming pressure, you see as a puzzle to be solved. You assess the situation, identify the most logical solution, and act without a hint of hesitation. You were forged in the fire, so a little heat doesn't bother you anymore. Sign 4. Compulsive analysis of human behavior. The fourth sign is that you think about human behavior almost compulsively. You analyze why people do what they do. You replay conversations in your head, searching for the subtext, the hidden meaning, and the why behind actions that others don't even register. This depth of psychological thinking wasn't a hobby you picked up. It was a survival strategy. You became a student of human nature because understanding the unpredictable behavior of people felt essential to your well-being. Today, this makes you a master of social dynamics. You can predict how someone will react before they even know they're going to react. You are always one step ahead in the emotional chess game of life. Sign 5. Cognitive adaptations, not weaknesses. Consider this for a moment. The perceptiveness, the empathy, the analytical mind. These are not weaknesses dressed up as strengths. They are genuine cognitive and emotional adaptations. They tell a story of how remarkably responsive the human brain is to experience. You didn't develop this intelligence out of luxury or because you wanted to be sensitive. You developed it because your environment demanded it. What others might label as overthinking or being too sensitive is actually your mind working tirelessly to stay safe, to adapt, and to understand the world better than those who had it easy. Sign 6. The shield of self-reliance. The sixth sign is a highly developed, almost fierce sense of self-reliance. You don't sit around waiting for someone to rescue you. You build your own solutions, quietly and independently. This self-sufficiency often surprises people, but it makes complete sense from a developmental perspective. When your childhood environment wasn't reliably supportive, your brain learned to internalize resourcefulness. Dependence felt like a massive risk, so competence became your default setting. You learned early on that asking for help might lead to disappointment, so you found your own way. You have a quiet strength that doesn't need external validation to exist. Sign 7. Intense emotional depth. The seventh sign is that you feel things with an intensity that others can't seem to grasp. Music doesn't just play, it hits you in your soul. Injustice doesn't just annoy you,